Carol says, have you seen Kamala's chart? Does it impact the projection at all? That's a good question. We could look at that real quick. I haven't looked at it for a while. Before we look at Kamala's chart, this is the chart of the October 1st new moon, making a direct hit on a Biden's ascendant midheaven midpoint. And you look at this triple alignment is hitting his Jupiter, making a direct hit to his Jupiter. And so I'm looking at the fact that he's getting a direct hit from that Mercury retrograde right on his natal Mars. So this is not likely to go away. This 8th house has to do with money you receive underhandedly, right? So if you cheat with your taxes, I know none of you cheat with your taxes, right? But if you cheat with your taxes, even if it's a few bucks, the IRS will come down and audit you, right? So if you're getting money from a third-party source, you're getting cash. Let's say you're getting 300,000. You on paper you make 60,000, but you're really bringing home 300,000 because you have a cash-based business. That would be the 8th house. That would be like Jupiter afflicted by transits in the 8th house. So Jupiter in the 8th house, you make money from third-party sources, from unsavory sources, illegal sources, right? You're not showing what you really make. You're doing some form of legal, where you legally put your money, your taxes, where it's protected from taxation. You put your money in tax shelters, legal tax shelters, or you're hiding it, and then it gets exposed. And that's what we're seeing here. That's what we're seeing here with this triple alignment, showing the level of resources, money, political favors, espionage, treason. That this is all the realm of the 8th house in mundane astrology. And if you apply that to Joe Biden's chart, you can see it playing out very clearly. So look at this. The new moon, not only conjuncted his ascendant midheaven midpoint, very important. This to me is just as important as the midheaven. I call it the second midheaven. It made a T-square with connection with his natal Jupiter and this triple alignment at the same time. So it would be like a triangle here. So let's take a look at Harris. So this is no, that's interesting. That's interesting. The new moon made a direct hit on her sun. Interesting. And you could see Neptune here in the 10th house opposing her planets in Virgo. She has the stellium in Virgo. So she has this transiting Neptune opposing all these planets here. So now when I look at this chart, by the way, it doesn't really look like a chart of with the exception, I could see her as an attorney general. You could see the Saturn in Aquarius near the midheaven, right? But this is certainly not a presidential chart. I've looked at all the charts of the presidents. This is not the most presidential looking chart I've seen, particularly when I look at the fact that now JFK did have Saturn near the ascendant as well, near the midheaven, I should say. But the ruler of her midheaven is in the 12th house. The 12th house rules the deep state. So the midheaven is your career. And when we do basic astrology, vocational astrology, where we assess, what are you going to do with your life, right? What you're going to be a career calling. When you see Pisces on the midheaven, and which is ruled by Jupiter, you see people go into helping professions. You see people go into the legal, right? They become lawyers. They go into the legal profession. They become attorneys. They become judges, etc. So that makes sense, especially with Saturn in Aquarius near the midheaven and having an orientation towards politics, right? However, her Jupiter is in the 12th house. That is not only the house of undoing, it's the house of deep state. It's the house of the deep state house. It means that it certainly indicates that the motivations are not very clear, right? So when you see that, what you see is not what you get. What you see and what she says is not who she is and what she's going to do. That much is very clear. And again, this is not a chart of someone overall that, wow, it's very presidential. This is a presidential chart. Got a strong sun in the 10th house, right? Like Trump has sun, right? He's got a strong sun. Mars, very strong, Sun-Uranus conjunction. He's born on an eclipse. It's extremely presidential compared to Harris. So it's interesting that she can't win on her own, right? She dropped out of the election before Iowa. She did terrible. She collected the most money and hasn't spent any of that money, by the way. I think some of it may have gone to help Biden, right? So she still has a war chest of money she hasn't paid out yet. But, so it just shows you here. Hopefully Carolyn answers some of your questions. I mean, does she impact the election? Does she impact the election? Let's take a look here. Let's see if she has upward impact. Well, does she have, what do you think? Do you think she's, is her impact positive? Here's election day, right? It's not that strong. Is she, okay, so yes or no? Do you think, just looking at this black box, right, taking in over 720 factors astrologically and projecting on a timeline, is she helping or hurting the ticket? Looks like she's slowing the ticket down. And if we get into a 2020 nucleus scenario, look at this. As we go into the eclipse, here's the eclipse right here.
If you'd like to watch the full presentation and more like this on geopolitics, the economy, and world events from an archetypal and mundane astrological perspective, join the Global Transformation Astrology membership. Go to gta.williamstickevers.com or click the link in the description for twice-monthly webinars with Q&A, access to the growing library of previous webinars, and a collection of information and resources on today's most important topics, plus a monthly Ask Me Anything session for Gold members. We are now in the middle of a massive collective psycho-spiritual death-rebirth process. Stay informed and be a part of the breakthrough, not the breakdown. Become a GTA member today.